From D.C. to Richmond's Capitol Square, lawmakers know Rich Herrera is watching.
This is Richmond's Morning News with Rich Herrera on News Radio WRVA.
7:33 this morning on the Voice of Virginia News Radio WRVA. Thanks for joining us. I have a special treat for you right now. New book's coming out. The Case for America, an argument on behalf of our nation. It's written by New York Times best-selling author. He's also the chief political anchor at Fox News Channel and the executive editor of Special Report with Bret Baier. I DVR him and watch him every day. Bret Baier joining us right now on News Radio WRVA. Congratulations on the new book.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on. Good morning.
Good morning. I've read excerpts of the book. I haven't read the whole thing through, but I'm excited to read and see what I've seen so far. But I'm also kind of sad that you had to write it because it's a case for America, and we see so many people in Gen Z that have been told that we as the American people are bad. The founding fathers are bad. So I think this is going to be a wonderful graduation gift. I just wish we didn't have to remind these kids, and they already knew that this is an amazing place that was founded by amazing men and women.
Yeah, no, thanks. Listen, I came up with this idea because I've written a bunch of books about presidents, actually 6. George Washington, Ulysses S. Grant, Teddy Roosevelt, FDR, Dwight Eisenhower, and Ronald Reagan. And each one of those had this wonderful experience of kind of digging in and finding these nuggets of history in the National Archives. And each one of these presidents in their own way makes the case for America in their presidency and the speeches that they do. But I thought it's important ahead of America 250 this July to not just for kids, but for everybody to take a step back and 30,000 feet, look at our country, where we've been, where we may be going, and what's right about it. It's not a sanitized look at things. We have a lot of flaws and we've made mistakes. We've been in bad places before, but it's laid out in a case to a jury of our peers. And so there's evidence and a presentation, and then a verdict at the end. And I just think ahead of this July, the anniversary of our Declaration of Independence, it's important to remember, our common shared love of this place.
Bret, why do we always seem like everybody wants to lead with their flaws? I'm not a perfect man. You're not a perfect man. But it just seems like when you talk about America these days, everybody wants to lead with all the bad stuff we've done, which is minuscule as opposed to the great things that America has given the world.
That's true. And listen, I'm a guy that's always said we should embrace our past and not erase it. And I think that that's important. We've done and been some bad places, but our country is resilient. We have bounced back from a lot of things. We are united. It's in the title, but we're united with dissent. Dissent is baked in the cake. We just have to remember that, as partisan as things feel right now, and they are, there have been much, much darker places. In fact, we almost didn't get off the starting line. If George Washington's not at the Constitutional Convention bringing people together, we almost fall into a second civil war if Ulysses S. Grant doesn't do a grand bargain. The race riots in the 60s, the Vietnam protests, there are things that we look like we would break, and it would have broken weaker nations, but we've managed to get through, and we just have to kind of remember that.
Bret Baier joining us right now, 7:37 here on News Radio WRVA. Do you think we take a lot for granted?
100%. 100%. I mean, I tell people, and by the way, I use the voices of the presidents that I've written about, but also present day voices. And these are interviews with really successful people, different views politically, but Condoleezza Rice and Ken Langone and David Rubenstein and Tim Schreiber, Steve Case, all these interesting people. Condoleezza Rice, here's a woman born in the segregated South in Birmingham. Some of her friends died in a bombing down the street growing up. She fights for education. Her family gets her through, and she succeeds. And then later in life, she's standing in the State Department as Secretary of State next to world leaders, looking in the mirror, saying, this can only happen in America. She's really eloquent about it. But what she says is, this is a country that's always striving. We're striving for perfect. We're never perfect. And yeah, we take it for granted. And that's part of this book.
How much did you write this book for your kids' generation? I think our sons are about the same age. Mine's just finishing up college, waiting to hear whether he's getting into the officer pipeline to become a Marine Corps officer.
Congrats.
But when I talk to him and he explains, he goes, Dad, I got my principal conservatives and I'll argue with my teachers. He goes, other these kids don't have these principles and they just take everything lock, stock, and barrel. And those are the ones that are arguing with me after we get out of class calling me a fascist. Is this kind of for that generation that haven't been reminded of these things?
Big time. Big time. I dedicated the book to my two sons, Paul and Daniel, 18 and 15, and they get bombarded on social media, and I got to get them off the phones. And I think that, that's part of the issue. If they read this, they will be armed with some really interesting stuff, not like doctrinal, like you have to believe this, but it is our history. And they'll be armed with it at the water cooler come America 250. And I think really this anniversary is a time where we can kind of look to something bigger, a shared common love. When you get in a room with a bunch of different sides on the political front, and let's say you're in a focus group and somebody says, we're going to talk about politics, and you've got the MAGA people and then the far left people, and suddenly their back gets up and they get ready to go to a fight. And they say, before we do that, we're going to talk about our families and about some of the things that we share. And you spend 10 minutes talking about your kids and how the teenagers didn't come home on time and whatever, so the swing set, something. And suddenly it disarms everybody. And there's like this common thing. And it changes the political conversation. Suddenly we listen to the other person. Even though we vehemently disagree with their idea, we listen to them. And I think that this anniversary provides us that vehicle.
It is amazing when you think about this, and I'm a West Coaster, so I'm new to this part of the country, and I look and I revel when I drive by Mount Vernon, I go to Monticello, I go up and I just spent a day at the National Portrait Gallery. I'm like, this country is amazing, and I never want to take this for granted. But I think that you're right. We get our hackles up, and somebody says, oh, you voted for Trump. Oh, you didn't vote for Trump. You voted for this person. And we dehumanize our fellow Americans. It's almost as if we look at them like you're really not part of my country anymore.
That's right. Sometimes we go into stovepipes. We listen to what we want to listen to. That's why I say expand your horizon. Try to read and listen to as much as you can. I've been on here before, I think, and I've told you that my job as a news guy, I see sometimes as an ice hockey goalie, trying to prevent the bad pucks from getting through. And there's a lot of bad pucks out there. What I say to people is try to listen to all sides. You can be passionate, but you don't have to be dehumanizing. You're right.
I go back to what Nixon told Khrushchev is, don't be afraid of new ideas. And it almost seems like as we get to 250, where this radical idea of America, which had never been tried before, how dare you stand up to a king? How dare you think that you can have self-determination and self-rule? It was a radical idea, but it was a new idea. And it seems like people are afraid of just hearing different ideas.
No, that's right. And part of this, the book starts going back to the original argument in the Declaration of Independence. And if you think of those founders in that moment, standing up and saying we have to have a Declaration of Independence and we're going to sign it, which was an act of treason at that time,
right?
Punishable by death. And yet these guys stand up and say, no, it's really important. And they economically were doing fine. It wasn't that they were being pushed on the economics. Their actually standard of living was pretty good. But they said liberty and freedom was really important for the future of what would become our country.
And then 250 years later, King Charles is addressing Congress. Who would have thunk it way back then? If you could just give us one takeaway for somebody that's trying to decide whether they want to pick up the book or not, or listen to it on tape, what's the one takeaway that you would give us this morning that would tell somebody, you know what, this is important. I do need to buy this. I need to read this, and I need to pass it on to somebody else?
I think it's going to make you feel good. It's going to be a check. And you're going to be grateful for where you live, and you're going to remember. Maybe you're a student of history, maybe you're not. But there's nuggets in here that you are going to remember in this presentation in front of a jury of your peers about why America is such an amazing place. And it is still the place of American dreams, and we lay that out in this book.
I live it every day. Now that the book is out, I'm sure you'll be out on the road doing a little bit of a book tour. Then maybe you got to get your golf game ready for the summer. Are you playing in any big tournaments?
Yeah, I've got a couple tournaments, and then Lake Tahoe, the American Century, that is that celebrity tournament out in July. I'm going to try to do that again. If I could make the first page on the leaderboard, that'd be a big deal. All
right. Well, we'll be hoping for that. I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know how you do all of this, the book and everything else. So the charity, listen, your family does great charity work. I don't know how you get any sleep. I know Kill Me doesn't sleep. I don't know how you sleep. There must be something in the water at Fox.
You know, it's a little caffeine here and there, but yeah, it's fun. It's a labor of love, man. And I really am happy about this book, and I'm glad it's taken off. And by the way, the caseforamerica.com, I'm doing the promotion a little bit differently in that you can order the book there or Amazon or bookstores or whatever, but you go to the caseforamerica.com and then you can make your case for America with a video, 30 seconds or less. And I'm going to give 100 signed books to the best videos. We've had dozens and dozens and dozens of videos. I've been showing some of them on the air. They're awesome. And if you need a second to just feel good about the country, go on that website and watch some of those videos. It's really inspiring.
I saw the little girl at Yankee Stadium. She was awesome. I saw the Native American with the American flag behind him talking about it. I've seen those on special. Like I said, I will tell you this. I steal a bunch of stuff from Special Report, write down, we need to talk about that the next day. So I do watch it every day, and I appreciate you coming on with me, and can't wait to get you back on the show. And again, I'll tell you this one more time. I know I'm over, but I always am indebted for you for 9/11 coverage.
Oh, thank you.
I was thinking about that. We had the anniversary of bin Laden being taken down, and I always go back to, I told you this, I worked at Fox Sports. We got shut down. I got sent home. I spent the week watching somebody I didn't know, brand new on television, Bret Baier. You kept me sane during that whole week.
Oh, well, thanks. It was a big moment.
Yeah.
In my career and obviously for the country.
Absolutely. Bret, best of luck with the book. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Ben.
All right, take care. Bret Baier joining us here on News Radio WRVA. I remember I see him, I hear him when I talk to him. It always pops into my head. I was working at Fox News. I worked in Pico, and they sent us all home, and I just sat there crying on my couch watching his coverage of 9/11. It was amazing. All right. Those are moments that you remember in your life. Moment that everybody remembers has to do with family. And Mother's Day is coming.